Okay, fellow babies, welcome back to the Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. A reminder, we are hurting at SIFTD, and I say we, I'm not really part of SIFTD. Shane is hurting. He needs another 1,000 or more subscribers, not 10. If you're watching this and you can afford to join SIFTD and you find the content compelling, including Pachter Factor, we'd really appreciate if you could join for $4 a month. Shane is on last legs. He's going to have to shut the site down. I am going to go away. The last time this happened, I was out of circulation for a year and a half. And if Shane hadn't come knocking on the door, I'd still be out of circulation. So if you like the Pachter Factor, you enjoy this, pop for $4 a month, please. Let's get to questions. Our first question this week from SIFTD from Kevin. What is your most anticipated game of 2017? And which remaining game scheduled for 2017 do you think has the highest chance of being delayed? Okay. The most anticipated game for me is Super Mario Odyssey. I literally play one Nintendo game every several years, and it's that one. So I played Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 on the Wii, and I don't think I've played the Wii U yet. I don't think I played
the console.
No, I haven't played a game through. I played around with it, but I don't think I played a game all the way through. Zelda, I played for about 3 hours, 4 hours, which I like, and I probably will go back and kind of trudge through it. But it's not. It's not my favorite game. Mario, on the other hand, I'm delighted by Mario. Everything about Mario makes me happy. I just think I like the concept of butt stomping. I just think it's a cool, fun game. I'm gonna play Mario and Rabbids, which also is not really my kind of game, but it looks fun and good enough. But I'm a Mario Odyssey guy, so easily that is my most anticipated game. We're taping this in July, so what do I think has the highest chance of being delayed? In 17, I would say not very many. I could see maybe South Park getting one more delay, but I'm not saying it because I don't think the game's done. I'm saying that because I think that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are perfectionists, extraordinarily proud, and rightly so, of what they've created, and they have their hands on everything. So I think they do all the voice work, they're doing all the scripting, and I could just see them, flaking out in the last voiceover and deciding one of them has a cold and we have to delay the game because my voice doesn't sound right or something. I don't expect that to happen. But a game coming out this fiscal year that I think has a shot of being delayed is Far Cry. And I say that not because I think the game's not good and won't be ready on time. I actually have a sneaky feeling that Ubisoft's going to have a big year. So my bias is that game's scheduled for the end of February. I kind of think if Assassin's Creed's a big hit, if Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle is a big attach rate, if it attaches to 40 or 50% of Switches, it's going to sell more than 5 million units. And I have a feeling if Ubisoft gets upside of a couple million units on Mario and Rabbids, and if Assassin's Creed kind of returns to glory and sells 10 or 12 million, they don't need Far Cry this year. So I could see them saying, a delay to April 15th for more polish, which is code for we don't need it. Electronic Arts regularly does that. They always schedule a game right what they call the cusp. Right at the end of March, we did this at Battlefield Hardline, we did it with Titanfall 1, we did it with Mass Effect Andromeda, and it allows them to push the game a few weeks. Titanfall 1, I'm pretty sure was February 15th, and then moved to March 25th, something. It might have been March 5th or March 25th, but they delayed it just a little bit, and just please take my word for it because I know Vince Zampella well at Respawn. Vince has never delivered a game late in his life. The guy, he's punctual. He shows up to my E3 party at 5 o'clock and I have to have him escorted out after the bar is closed because he's always on time. He has never delivered a product late. and Titanfall got delayed because EA didn't need as many units that year, 2014, as they thought. So I could see the same thing with Far Cry. That's not a 2017 game, but I think that's the one. Had I been asked this a few months ago, I would have said Red Dead. And again, I think we'll probably have a question on this, but no diss to the Rockstar guys. They just, perfectionists. They never run out of things to do right, and they always look at everything they do and think they can do something better, which delights their consumers. So, God bless them. I mean, I think it's great. I don't think it matters if a game comes out late as long as it's good. Who cares? I mean, we get to play it eventually. Our next question from Twitter, from @Carl595. The Wii U and the Switch are very similar concepts with very similar games. The difference is the way they are presented to the public. Can any console succeed if it's marketed right? I don't agree with your premise. I think that the Wii U and the Switch are completely different. The Wii U was a dual screen, and you had the television screen and the gamepad screen. And I think one of the biggest problems with playing Wii U was that, this was my case. I found myself holding the gamepad in front of my face, so it was really easy to look back and forth and look at the television screen and look at the gamepad when I needed to. And that replicated the 3DS. So I would say the 3DS with dual screen, bottom screen, top screen, was very similar to Wii U television gamepad. I don't think the Switch is like that at all. The Switch is a single screen. It is very much like, the old Game Boy Advance. What's the screen? 6.5 inches, I think, or something. It's just a big screen Game Boy Advance, and I like it. Single screen is good. I've never really been a fan of the dual screen. I tend not to actually use both. You tend to play on one screen, but it's nice if you have a map or something you can glance at. I just think that the Switch went back to basics, went back to single screen experience. So I just don't agree with you. Very similar games. You could say that about the NES, the Super NES, the GameCube, N64. Sure, Mario is Mario. The graphics get better, but again, I think the Switch, what makes the games look similar is the Switch is a high-def machine. It's not quite as high-def as perhaps the Xbox One X is going to be, but the games look pretty good, and they look pretty good on the Wii U. But I think Nintendo games are very similar, period. And so I guess the question, can any console succeed if it's marketed right? I don't know. You wouldn't buy a shit sandwich if it was marketed right. Okay, you don't want to eat poop between two pieces of bread. So if it's a crappy console, then no one's going to buy it. You can market the hell out of something that sucks, and people are not stupid. They'll figure it out. Most of us are not the first adopters of any technology. So, what percentage of lifetime consoles are sold in the first week? 5, 2, something small. And if they suck, the word's going to get out. So no, I don't think any console can succeed if it's marketed right. Ask Microsoft that about the Xbox, ask Nintendo about the GameCube, ask them about the Wii U. No. Got a question from SIFTD from Sleepy Droid. Even though Insomniac is currently saying its Spider-Man game is a PS4 exclusive forever, do you think that it still might eventually come to other platforms? Spider-Man's a unique property, and I actually don't know that the game is tied into the movie, but Sony has the motion picture rights to Spider-Man. I don't know how that deal got struck, but Spider-Man, the first one, I think came out in 2002 or something, Tobey Maguire. And Sony signed some kind of a deal, and remember that Marvel was a standalone public company, primarily a comic book company. They sold the rights to Spider-Man and to X-Men. I'm pretty sure both were Sony. And I think Sony just signed a deal like every time we make a movie, we get to make one more or something. Like if we spend the money, we have an option on the next one. So they keep exercising the option. So the Spider-Man game being a PS4 exclusive, I don't know this for sure, but the Spider-Man intellectual property is owned by Marvel, which is now owned by Disney. You couldn't even have a game unless Disney approved it. I have a feeling Sony negotiated game rights back in there too. Now the first couple of Spider-Man games were made by Activision and they were multi-platform. So I'm not really sure why Sony didn't insist on a single platform deal at the time, but I have a feeling now Sony is just paying Disney for that exclusive. So I think that the Marvel Studios, who are Marvel Enterprises, who own the Spider-Man IP, are in turn owned by Disney. PlayStation paid for an exclusive, period. So just like, Titanfall 1, which was made by a third-party studio, is forever an Xbox exclusive, Spider-Man is probably forever a PlayStation 4 exclusive. I don't know this. I'm taking your question at its word that Insomniac is saying that. If Insomniac says it, they're honorable people. They don't lie. You want your kids to grow up and be like Ted Price. I mean, he is salt of the earth, good dude. And by the way, the game looks freaking awesome. I mean, I think this looks like the best Spider-Man game ever. So somebody asked me what my most anticipated game is for 2017. I'm going to play that one too, just because I like this guy so much. But no, don't think it's coming to other platforms, because I don't think Insomniac are liars, because Sony has the rights to the movie, and because I am pretty confident Sony would have paid up for the rights to the game as an exclusive. Our next question from SIFTD, from Suited Armor. Many are saying, by the way, that's my pet peeve, this is a Donald Trump thing. Donald Trump always says that too. Well, many people say, yeah, many people say there was voter fraud. No, nobody that I know. Many are saying that the Xbox One X may not sell well due to the lack of games and because it's redundant with the PC. Do you think there are enough potential customers for Xbox One X who will not buy one because they have a gaming PC or plan to build one instead? I think what you said is wrong. So Xbox One X would sell phenomenally well if it was $50. So there's an old thing I don't want to confuse Rick Perry, our Secretary of Energy. There's something, those of you who have gone to college, or I guess even senior in high school, you can take economics. And there's a concept called supply and demand. The supply and demand curves cross. So if supply exceeds demand, price drops, and you move down the curve, and if price drops, then you drive more demand. So would you buy, a steak at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for $1? Of course you would. Would you buy a console for $5, $10, $50? Of course you would. If you raise the price, you drive demand down. The Xbox One X is $500. So the people who are saying it's not going to sell well due to lack of games, it plays all Xbox games. There are tons of games for it. We can argue about whether they're going to have, 4K features in them or not. All the new ones will. I mean, the developers are putting them in. So that's BS. Because it's redundant with PC is more BS, because most console games aren't on PC. I don't think that's why it won't sell. I think it won't sell well because it costs twice as much as a PS4. I mean, I think that's the easy answer. And, again, the PS4 and the Xbox One S are nominally priced at $299. They're pretty regularly discounted at $249. They are almost always bundled with something. So the $299 version, you kind of have to be a moron to pay $299 for a console now and not get a piece of software for free. So, which does have a perceived value of $50. So you'll be able to get to Christmas, Xbox One X launch date, and for $600, you can buy a PlayStation and an Xbox and get a piece of software for each, for sure. Like, I promise that. And if you can't get that, I'll give you the $50 difference. I'll give you the software. You're going to find that during the holiday, between Black Friday and Christmas. I promise you, at least 5 days in that period, you will be able to buy each console for $300 and a free piece of software. So for $600 you can buy both consoles and 2 games, and for $500 you can buy an Xbox One X and no games, and if you want to buy 2 games, at least another $100. So the value proposition is 1 console and 2 games, or 2 consoles and 2 games. Who in their right mind is buying an Xbox One X? And the answer is the same guy who buys a Porsche instead of a BMW. So the guys who buy Porsches are guys who have too much money, and it doesn't seem like it's that much more expensive, and they just do it because they can. So yeah, those guys will buy an Xbox One X. But if you work hard for your money and you are not an old guy like me who I finally got more income than I have expenses and I can save up and I can buy a Porsche, if $250 matters to you, no, you're not buying an Xbox One X. So I disagree with you about the premise, lack of games are redundant with PC. I get it. Maybe you need exclusive games. There's never going to be an Xbox One X exclusive. They're all going to work on the S. And there might be Xbox One exclusives, except Microsoft has this whole initiative for Windows 10, Xbox Anywhere, and they're going to put their games on PC anyway. So no Xbox will ever be a perfect substitute. I'm sorry, no Xbox will have unique games that aren't playable on PC. So I just think your premise is wrong. So no. And again, people who have a gaming PC or plan to build one instead, it's kind of the same thing. Like everybody I know with a gaming PC has a lot of money. I mean, these are people, even kids who work their buns off for their money. People are building gaming PCs and spending $1,000. I mean, I actually looked at an Origin PC. I was going to build one, then I went to Origin just to construct it on the site to figure out what it's going to cost me. And I got up to $2,700, and I wasn't doing like really slick stuff. I did go high-end graphics card, but I was just checking it out. And I ultimately decided not to do it because $2,700 to me for a PC seems like a lot of money. I'm going to do it one day. But the guys who are building $2,500, $3,000 PCs, they got a lot of money. And no, you're not going to say, I'm not buying an Xbox One X because I need to build a gaming PC instead. Guy who's got $3,000 has $3,500. The question is, do you already have what you need and you don't need a redundant rig like an Xbox One X? And like I said, keep in mind, all Xbox One X games are going to be available on Windows 10 PC anyway. So Microsoft is in the business of selling Windows. That's their core business. And they want you to have that gaming rig, and they want you to use Windows, and they would rather you be that customer than an Xbox customer. So fellow babies, please consider joining SIFTD, because we're going away in a few weeks if you don't. $4 a month, go to SIFTD.net. It's easy to sign up. If you don't join, or you can't afford to, or you just hate Shane but you want to watch me, I'll be on YouTube for another few weeks until we have to shut down. But I would appreciate a follow on Twitter, @Michael Pachter. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week.